I want to start off by saying thank the Lord, thank the Most High for everything that He's done for me, everything that He's doing in me, everything that He's shown me. He is high and lifted up, and I give Him all the glory and all the praise and all the honor because it is due to Him. He is the Creator. He is Elohim. He is Yahuwah, Yeshua, HaMashiach. I give you praise. And I want to talk about this morning how I came out of religion, but not from relationship. I just want to give my testimony, and I pray that it helps someone that may be going through this transition, that may be going through the same thing, that may feel like, am I okay? Why am I not feeling this anymore? Why I'm not feeling the whole church thing anymore? Well, I'll just give my testimony. First of all, I just want to start out by saying thank you for listening to my channel, Motivated for Yah. And I just pray that this message helps someone. I'm not here to try to be a minister, a preacher, or anything like that. I'm not trying to have any titles, but I know what Yeshua has called me to do, and I'm doing His will and His work. But I want to start out with my testimony of how I began to see things in the church, and how Yeshua just pulled me away from these things. And I just didn't understand what was going on. I thought, am I backsliding? Is something going on with me? Why I'm not feeling this whole church thing anymore? And I'll start out by saying this happened to me 2 years ago. And I was in a church that I was dancing. I was in the ministry. I was also a minister as well. And I just began to see some things. And it seemed like the more and more I read my word, the more and more I began to see. Yahuwah began to show me some things, and I was just shocked. As I was sitting there listening to the preacher preach at that time, I began to not hear the gospel. I began to hear messages that can't keep you saved, that had nothing to do with Yeshua and more to do with religion and tradition. Also, just noticing, I sat there for almost, I would say I was at that church for almost 2 years, and I sat there and I never even saw anybody get baptized. That was troublesome to my spirit because I know what the word says about that. And I just didn't understand, what are we doing this for? What am I coming to church for? What am I dressing up for when I'm not hearing the gospel? When I'm reading the word and when I'm coming to church, I'm getting something totally different. So I thought that something was wrong with me, until I started to dig deeper, and I began to see some things. So I pulled away from dancing in the ministry. I pulled away from that. I love worshiping Yahuwah. I love that. But it was the more and more I began to read my scriptures, the more and more I pulled away from idolatry and entertainment in the church. I'm trying to explain myself the best way I can, because it was spiritual what I saw with my eyes. I began to discern that it wasn't about me, but it was about Him. And I began to discern how the group as a whole was always in the flesh. I began to, He showed me some things even about, even the leader in the group, that she would listen to rap, right after we practice. And I'm like, well, how can you mix the world and the church together? How can you do that? It's either you're going to serve Elohim or you're going to serve the devil. Which one you're going to serve? But you can't serve two masters and think that you're going to walk in power. It's not gonna happen. So I said, there's something going on in this group. I just pulled away from it, and I just said, I don't even want to dance anymore. So I was in the ministry, working as a minister there. I was doing communion. Me and my husband was doing communion together. We would serve. And then I began, as I got more behind the scenes, I started to see more. And it was interesting that this pastor that I thought that was a real man of God, you can say, or a real man of Yah, was not. He wasn't given the word. He was not moving by the Spirit. And I began to have visions of what was going on behind the scenes. And it was scary. The visions were scary. I had a vision that I walked in the church, or actually it was a dream, and we ended up in a back room. And it was like we were sitting around a fellowship table, in the back where we fellowshipped at. And all of a sudden, we walked to the back, and it was a morgue, and it was cold, and it had coffins, like different compartments of coffins back there, and it was really, really cold, and it got dark. It was like we went from the light in the front of the church where all the lights was on to the back where there was no lights, and it was dark, and it was cold in this room, but it was like a morgue in a hospital, and there were bodies in there. And I was like, I don't know what's going on here. And so as we began to walk outside, it was a graveyard, and it was scary. The souls, the names that were planted in the ground. Now, I don't remember the names. I don't remember what they, what and who names they were, but I remember the people that was in the dream with me. And all I could say was this pastor that I was serving under was leading souls to hell. And that wasn't the only vision that I had. There were so many visions and dreams that I would have. And it was like, Yahweh was taking me on this journey of seeing what was behind the scenes. And it was shocking to me. But at this time, when I was having these visions and dreams that he was showing me, we had already left the church, because there was a night where we was supposed to be, it was like supposed to be like a woman's conference, and then a man's conference where we was just supposed to, I thought that we was just supposed to, lift each other up in the spirit. I thought it was just going to be about spiritual things, and only to get there, and it was not. It was playing games and vision boards, and it was nothing, had nothing to do with, sowing into your spirit, but everything to do with the flesh. That night, I told my husband, I said, I'm done. And he was pretty much done too, after seeing that. It's so much that it would take me so much time to explain all of the things that I've been through in church. All the disappointments from leadership that I've seen. Now, again, I'm going to say this. I know that leaders are not perfect. I know people are not perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm not expecting that perfect. I'm not expecting to be perfect. But if you're called to be a leader, then you ought to lead as a leader. Certain things ought not to be in the church. And it shouldn't be a lot of cattiness, a lot of messiness, just so much that I've seen from leadership that have turned on me and my family, things that I've told my pastors before. I heard it around the whole church, just gossiping and things like that. I mean, I'm not talking from a church hurt. Let's get that together. Let's get that straight. This is not a church hurt or anything like that. This is about coming away from religion. And what he showed me, what's wrong with the whole not preaching the gospel of prosperity and what you're going to get, and you're going to get this husband, and you're going to get this wife, and you're going to pay for your healing. You got all of that stuff is religion. And so after that, after coming from that church, I said, well, I'm going to find a better church to go to. I'm going to find another church that believes in holiness and believe in being spirit filled and believe in baptizing souls, in Yeshua's name. And only to get there, and then he starts to show me things again. And I said to myself, I don't know what's going on here, but I got to take a step back and find out, why am I seeing all of these things? Because I'm not looking for it. I really, at first, when we got to the other church, we enjoyed the worship. We enjoyed the preaching. He was preaching holiness, sanctification, Then all of a sudden, a shift happened. And he started to preach on some things that was off topic. And it just didn't feel right no more. Then the Lord began to show me more things and more deception and more religion, and how people were operating in religion and not relationship. How people were asking the Father for healing and wasn't receiving it because they didn't even know him. The worst words that we can hear when we check out of here, when our spirit leaves our body, the worst words that we can hear is, "Depart from me, you workers of iniquity. I never knew you." These are the worst words that we can hear from the Father. When we've been serving in church all of these years, and still he says, "Depart from me, you workers of iniquity. I never knew you." All of the shouting that's going on in the temples, all of the speaking in tongues means nothing if you have no relationship with him. If you don't know him, if you don't pray, if you don't have relationship with him, if you don't have intimacy with the Father, then how can you ask him for something and expect you're going to receive it? And so I started to see all of these things. People running up to the altar, and it's the same people. And again, I'm not being judgmental, but I'm asking the Father, what is going on here? Because if your power rests, rules, and abide in the house, and I know how powerful you are, why isn't your spirit moving? Why isn't healing taking place? Why aren't miracles taking place? People are falling out on the floor, looking like they're convulsions in the spirit, but not receiving anything. Father, what is going on? I began to ask him questions. And he began to show me why these people have not received healing. And you know the sad part that he told me? Because they don't know me. They're serving religion and not relationship with me. They don't even know me. They just know religion. And when I heard those words from the Father, it just made me sad. And I said to myself, not again, Lord. Not again. And so my heart was a little grieved about it. And because, me and my husband, we were going for probably, I would say, we probably was going at church for about a good year. And he began to show me some things. It's hard when you ask the Father for what's going on and he reveal it to you, and you begin to question yourself. You begin to question your salvation because of what you're seeing. Doesn't add up with what you're reading in the Bible. So again, I've always been a person of prayer, intimacy, relationship with Yah. And I haven't always been that way, but I had to learn that the reason why I wasn't getting my prayers answered and the reason why my life wasn't moving accordingly to his will, because I didn't even know him. You know, I got saved and I spoke in tongues and all of that, but when times got hard, I fell because I wasn't connected to him like I should have been. And the only way you're going to get that connection is when you talk to him, when you have intimacy with him, when you pray to him, when you talk to him about everything. I try to take everything to Yah in prayer. And when you do that, to much is given, the word says, as much is required. And sometimes those requirements is hard. Sometimes those requirements are visions. Sometimes those requirements are speaking things that he tells you to speak and not knowing if you're going to be ridiculed by them because you sound like a heretic. But I still thank him for showing me and taking the blinders off my eyes to what I thought was sanctification. Now again, when we get to this church again, no baptism. Just throw your hands up in the air and say a sinner's prayer. Well, let me tell you something, y'all. Sinner's prayer is not biblical. Show me in the word where sinner's prayer is biblical to be saved. Now, it does say that those who call on the name of the Lord shall be saved. But there is some things that took place in Acts where the people were being baptized after they confessed the Lord Jesus Christ. I'll use that word because I don't really like using that myself, because again, he's revealed so much to me about his name. But I'll get into that at a later time. But that's all that was happening. Throw your hands up, say a confession, say the sinner's prayer, and that's it. No baptism. Going to the back, getting filled with the Holy Ghost. And then the same thing happens over and over and over and over again each Sunday. And I said, what is going on with baptism? Why aren't people being baptized in the name of Jesus Christ, as they say? He began to show me. The church has become entertainment. The church has become very religious. And also the church is hidden in Catholicism. This is nothing but Catholicism. Each church that I've been to has practiced Catholicism. they're not preaching from the word. They're not going into the deeper truths of the word of Yah. Why? I have a right to question why. See, this is what's wrong with us. We don't want to question. We don't think that we should question the Father and ask him why things are the way they are, because we're going to think, oh, it's something wrong with our spirit, or we shouldn't question those things because touch not the anointed of God and all of this kind of stuff, all this religious speech that we use. But we should question everything. He said, the word says, try the spirit by the spirit and see if it is of God. What are the characteristics of the fruit of the spirit? Come on. This is not hard. But we don't do that. We don't question Yah. We don't ask him things. Why is this? We should begin to ask the Father about certain things that go on in church. And you know what? He'll show you. He'll show you. And so from there, I said, Father, every time I would hear him preach after that, after he wasn't preaching on sanctification anymore, he wasn't as, I don't know what the word I should use, but he wasn't as he was when we first started going for those first couple of months. He just started to get off topic. And then I'm trying to explain it the best way I can, but it was spiritual. And every time I would hear him preach after that, my spirit would be troubled. The Father would be showing me some things in the spirit that I just couldn't explain. And all I could hear is religion, 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 no relationship, religion. That's all I could see. That's all I could hear. Where is my word being preached? Where is the truth of the gospel? Because all I can hear is a bunch of do's, don'ts, what you're supposed to wear, how your skirt's supposed to be long as a curtain, you're not supposed to wear lashes, not supposed to wear this and that, and then that makes you not saved. And, all of that stuff. I do understand that when Yahweh changes the heart, that everything else on the outside does change. I believe in sanctification. I believe in holiness. But I believe it starts in your heart first, in your spirit, and then those things will begin to change on the outside. It doesn't start with just wearing dresses and no lashes and no nails and this and that. It don't start there, but it starts in the heart first. So it troubled me. It troubled me that I was seeing religion and not relationship. And the more and more I started reading my word, the more and more I pulled away. I just couldn't take it no more. I started reading the lost books. I started reading Jasher. I started to read the Cedrus. There's so much to this word that we need to know, that will reveal so much truth to us if we just get out of what we're used to and get into the word. So again, right now, I don't even go to church because I haven't found anywhere that's really preaching the truth, I have found a pastor on TV that I love to listen to that preaches the truth, that preaches the word, that goes deeper into revelation. And then that's another thing. You don't even hear pastors even preach or touch or tap revelation. Why? You don't even hear pastors even preach on who the real children of Israel are. That's another thing. Yahweh began to show me who the real children of Israel are. Who the real Hebrews are. I had to learn this from reading my Bible. Yes, he revealed that to me. these Jews that we so-called Jews they're not Jews. They're Ashkenazi Jews. But it's like the pastors act like they're afraid to preach the truth, to tell people the truth of the word. So I had to get all of this for myself, all of this in reading, all of this in my spare time. I got from his word. And so I know a lot of people say, well, she probably, backslidden or she just, she's not in the faith. No, I'm still in the faith. I still listen to different teachers, or this one teacher that I do like actually. But I don't believe in the whole cathedral thing. We are the church. We are the assembly of Yah. Actually, that's the real name. That's who we are. So I can carry him in me anywhere that I go, and I'm not afraid to say, well, oops, I missed church this Sunday, so and that's another thing. Why are we worshiping on Sunday? That's not even, the Sabbath day is Saturday. That's another thing. So again, it's so much that I want to say, but it's going to take me too long to do it. But I have came out of religion, and I've came into relationship. I'm no longer bound by religion anymore, but I'm into relationship with Yah. I love to study his word. I love to pray. I love to worship. That's what my life is all about now. And so I just want to say this before I end. I pray that anybody that's going through this, or see some things, or feel a pulling in your spirit, don't be afraid of what Yahweh's going to do for you. Don't be afraid of the pulling away. Don't be afraid of coming out from among them and being ye separated. Don't be afraid of that, because that's what he's doing for you. He's saying, come out from among them. Come out from Babylon. Come out from her. He's calling a lot of us out of that religion so that we can walk in true salvation of Yah. That's what he's doing. He wants to call us into relationship. He wants to call us into a deeper calling in him. And that's what he's doing for you. So I pray that my testimony touched you. I pray that whoever's listening to this, whoever heart that it touches, that you don't feel like an outsider. You don't feel like, that you're backslidden, or you don't feel like an outcast. It's him pulling you closer to him. It's him saying, I want to know you in a deeper way. I want you to know me in a deeper way. I want you to know me beyond going to church. I want you to know me beyond that shout. I want you to know me beyond fake falling out. But I want you to know me for who I am. Because he is the great I am. And he's high and lifted up. And he's above every god that they can bring on this earth. So come out from among them and be separated.